Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can learn all about the animal kingdom and become smarter than all of your friends. Every animal lover's dream job is one where they can be around animals and help animals. Is it all it's cracked up to be, though? No, we're not talking about being a vet. We're talking about working for the NGO that helps crack down on animal cruelty cases. Joining us to talk about that is the lovely Connie Chiang. Let's dive right in. Connie Chiang is co-founder of Taiwan's first Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, SPCA. Stay tuned to hear all about the largest gathering of animal protection organizations in Asia coming up this August as well, the Asia for Animals Conference happening right here in Taiwan. Hello, welcome, Connie.
Hi, Tristan. Hi, everyone.
They say one of the worst jobs you can get for your mental health is being a content moderator for social media platforms, as these moderators review all of the reported violent and graphic posts, having to look at them one by one. I can't help but think that those working at the SPCA essentially have to do that, but oftentimes in person. How do you manage?
Great question. We actually started providing free counseling for our staff. Sometimes it's just important to have someone to talk to. The feedback from staff is that, counseling really helps. And also, I think sometimes when staff feel, stressed or anxious about something, it's usually because they can't see a way of solving a problem. And they can't seem to, for example, rescue the animal. And that's when people get really upset and sad and depressed. So we try to talk strategies, what challenges are you facing now? So we kind of brainstorm and we give each other ideas.
Personally, though, you've probably seen a lot of things that you wish you probably wouldn't have. How do you handle that?
When I first started, like I said, I used to lose sleep over things that I saw during the day. But now I try to change my mindset. I have to tell myself it's impossible for one person to alleviate all the suffering in the world. Internally, we have to be accepting of that, or else we're just going to be tearing ourselves apart. You have to look at what we were able to accomplish instead of just everything else that we have not achieved yet. I think for a while, I was a bit jaded. I was really angry at people. I just felt like people were the worst. And I felt like people were innately evil.
Yeah.
Not a nice thing to say, but I really had a few years of my life where I felt that. And I was really, really down. I actually wanted to leave the SPCA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was like, I had enough. All that built up stress, I actually wanted to leave. But then, I attended a leadership course. Oh. And I think that course really helped me just to change the way I was thinking about things. But yeah, so everyone deals with it differently. I think you just have to find something that will help you and works for you.
Yeah, I think many people who do love animals don't volunteer because of that fear of having their heart broken. What do you think is the driving force behind those who are able to overcome that fear?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I actually don't know. But from speaking to colleagues who work in, animal protection, animal welfare, everyone just has this drive. Like, we can't stand seeing people abusing animals. And we don't want to rely on other people because we know that ourselves, we can do something about it. And again, a lot of people I know, they don't want to look at all the suffering, so they kind of turn away. And as NGOs, we're aware of that. So a lot of the messages and photos we put out, we try not to just show bloody photos,
right.
Like animal suffering. I know it puts people off. People don't want to look at it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's kind of like a balance. You know, people still have to know exactly what's going on. That's the reality. That's what animals are facing every single day. But there needs to be a balance. We do more, positive posts as well. And we encourage people, really, one person can make a difference. It sounds cheesy. Really, it is reality. Really, one person can do so much. And I don't want people to forget that. Sometimes you feel, oh, I'm just a normal person. There's nothing I can do, right? Or the problem is huge. But no, really, one person matters. We need people to join us, even if you just become a foster, or even if you just help us share a post or sign that petition you see online, it adds up and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, even if in your entire lifetime you're only to foster or take in one animal off the streets who had been endangered or something, that's an entire life that you just saved.
Exactly. Or even if you just make a small donation, like all the NGOs rely on public donations. And I didn't realize this before I started an NGO. I was like, how come they need so much money? They're always asking for donations. But now I know it takes a lot of money to do the work. Even just one animal's vet bill, it could be like hundreds of thousands of Taiwan dollars. So yeah, even if you can't volunteer, making a donation would help really greatly as well.
Yeah. How does the SPCA fund everything?
Public donations. We rely purely on donations.
Do you do any of those the products?
Yes, we make merchandise. Yeah, to try to sell. We're not doing very well on that actually.
Oh.
But it is a source of income, I would say. But mostly, we try to ask people to sign up for become a monthly donor. And that's really easy. You just sign up with your credit card. But yeah, we rely on the public quite a lot.
Yeah, and it all adds up, even if it's like a Spotify. People who pay 129 NT a month for a Spotify subscription.
Yeah.
If you and all your friends signed up to do that monthly, but to support the SPCA, that adds up.
Yeah, it does.
You can do a lot with that money. The SPCA will be co-hosting the largest regular gathering of animal protection organizations in Asia, the Asia for Animals Conference, right here in Taiwan from August 20th to the 29th. Could you tell us more?
Yes, the AFA conference has been held for every 2 years for the past 20 years. And it's the first time that it's being held here in Taipei. And it's a really good opportunity to meet each other, network, learn from each other, and with the main focus to try to improve our efforts globally.
Is this open to the public to register for?
Yes, it is. And we encourage people of the public to come and sign up because it's a really, really good opportunity to learn about different animal issues, not just happening here in Taiwan, but around the world.
So not just for the NGOs or large corporations. If you're an individual and you love animals, it's a great place to learn.
Exactly. I think my first conference was China, I think. I remember attending a workshop there that was speaking about zoos and keeping animals in captivity. And I think that really, really affected me. I think that is the starting point where I came back to Taiwan and I was like, I want to do something for zoo animals here. And so for the past almost 10 years, that has been one of our main objectives is to try to improve the welfare of animals in zoos here in Taiwan. There are a lot of petting zoos, or I guess that's what you call it in English, but in Chinese it's called 休闲农场. Like farms.
Like leisure farms.
Leisure farms, there you go, leisure farms. Yeah, there are, I think, 200.
Wow.
And half of them are actually without permit, so they're actually operating illegally.
Yeah, I will say that in Taiwan, for example, at the Taipei Zoo, just from what I have observed, I think that the environment that they have is quite nice. I think that the zoo staff takes really good care of them. So I kind of ignored this as maybe being an issue in Taiwan, especially when talking about zoos. But now that you bring up these leisure farms, oh wow, it's bringing a lot of memories into my head.
Yeah, and they have so many different types of animals. Capybara, yeah, that's really popular. alpacas, so many different animals. And a lot of the farms actually don't have the adequate environment or space, for these animals, or even the proper knowledge to take care of these animals. I mean, you mentioned the Taipei Zoo. The Taipei Zoo, I would say, is probably the best zoo here in Taiwan, but it still has its own problems. A lot of animals don't do well in captivity, no matter how, I guess you would say, like, good the enclosures are. So yeah, we're against keeping some certain species in captivity because of that.
Many speakers for the AFA conference are flying in from overseas. Could you tell us about one of the guests you're most excited to hear from and what they'll be speaking about?
I'm also excited to hear from speakers from South Korea. So there are a few of them actually that will be speaking. One group, Kara, they were instrumental in ending the dog meat trade in South Korea. Yes. So that was huge success, campaign-wise. And I know they've been working on the issue for many, many years. And it is not an easy feat to enact a ban. So I'm excited for them to come and share their experience and the strategies that they implemented in South Korea. South Korea has really, really upped their game in animal welfare and animal protection in recent years. So I think we have a lot to learn from them as well. Registration ends in August, but our regular pricing for tickets ends in the end of July. So we encourage people to grab your tickets ASAP because the price will go up in August. We're really honored to have the support of the Ministry of Agriculture for this event. So actually they sponsored us to hold this conference. So part of the registration fee is actually going to be covered by them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's a really rare opportunity.
What does a typical day look like for you as a co-founder of Taiwan's SPCA, or is there no such thing?
Right now, we only have 15 staff, including myself. Yeah, so I juggle many, many different tasks every day. So it is hard to say exactly what I do every day, but I'm responsible for all the government meetings. And usually there's like 2 or 3 a month. And not just going to the meetings, but you have to be prepared for it. Yeah. And also because we don't just focus on companion animals. Actually, we work on issues like animals in captivity and entertainment, also animal testing issues, laboratory animals. So we also get invited to a lot of like government inspections of labs. So labs that do conduct animal testing. We also do zoo welfare evaluations on behalf of the government, and also pet shop assessments. Yeah, so we do work with the government quite a lot, and I think it's a good thing, So other times when I'm not doing that, each year we have like lobbying goals. So I also have to, for example, visit legislators to try to get some bills passed. Other times, I work with other staff and help them with what they're doing. And we have a lot of internal discussions and meetings.
You sound incredibly busy all the time, especially the SPCA as a whole with 15 people on staff, having to handle all of these like pet stores, laboratories, this and that, and all these reports. You personally, do you have time for yourself?
That's a great question. To be honest, like this is what I do now, is I try to leave 1 day a week where I don't think about work. Sometimes it's difficult. Like I don't encourage people to do it, but to me, I enjoy it. I sometimes don't see work as work. So on the weekends, I'll be like working on a report or preparing for like a social media post. Or it's not work for me anymore. It has become a part of my life. But I do try to exercise or do something fun outside of that. Yeah.
There are 3 co-founders in total?
Right.
Connie Chiang, Annie Chiang, and Becky Hunt. Okay, you're all from Canada, essentially.
Yeah. And actually, we met her here. Yeah.
Okay, so as a Canadian-founded organization, you are, I would assume, speaking English a decent amount of the time. I saw that a lot of foreigners living in Taiwan will also go and volunteer for the SPCA. Could you tell us about that?
We have a lot of volunteering opportunities. One, we're always looking for animal foster volunteers. We rescue a lot of animals from these horrendous cases. So they really need a safe, home where people are patient and willing to spend time with the animal. So we need a lot of volunteers. It doesn't matter if you're local Taiwanese or if you're a foreigner, if you're an expat. Welcome everyone to apply with us. Also, every weekend we bring volunteers to the public shelter in Ruifang, which is New Taipei City. So the volunteers will walk the dogs, bathe the dogs, help clean the kennels, give them treats. You really don't have to speak Chinese for that. We welcome everyone to apply.
What qualities do you look for in your staff or volunteers, new team members?
Well, I guess the obvious is a love for animals. But I think another important thing is I actually, for staff, I don't actually care too much about previous experience.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't really look for if you've ever worked in an NGO or if you've ever worked with animals. Really, that's I think that's secondary. The first thing we look for is someone who has that drive, and you can sort of feel it, when you talk to them, and someone who cares about all animals. Because a lot of people who apply, they'll say they love animals, but really perhaps they only care about dogs.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I think that's really normal, actually. I think what's important is when we start to talk about other animals, I want to see that, that sparkle in their eyes. Oh, yeah, that's really important, A lot of times people only care about dogs, not because they don't love other animals. It's because dog and cat issues are more prevalent, in media, and that's what most people talk about, right? But really, animal protection, there's so much more to it. There are so many different types of animals in different industries that need our attention.
What is the most unexpected animal?
Well, for example, most people here in Taiwan do not care about farm animals. I'm sorry to say. Or just they don't know about the issue, or for example, animal testing issues. But really, these two sectors, they use the most animals, right? There are more farm animals than there are people now in the world.
Yeah.
Right? So factory farming issues is also something here. At SPCA, we're not actually focused on farm animal issues yet, just because of manpower and the resources, but we still care about the issue, and hopefully in the future we have the capacity to do campaigns for that, but not at the moment. So when we're hiring, we're very straight up with people, yes, I know you love animals, but do you know how much work you're going to have to put in,
It's not just playing with animals.
Exactly. And we tell them, you're going to be dealing with a lot of people, We explain to people if they're accepting of that, and I can see that, yes, they're very driven. Yeah, that's what we look for.
If you could change just one thing about how society treats animals, what would it be?
I hope that everyone in society will start to realize that animals are sentient. They can feel happiness, they can feel pain, they can feel suffering just as humans can. And I think when everyone starts to realize this, and this is supported by, science, but if every single person starts to know about this, realize this, I think this will change the way humans treat animals.
What gives you hope for the future of animal welfare in Taiwan?
I'm actually really hopeful. It was only in 1998 that we had the Animal Protection Act, which is not a long time ago, right, if you compare to other countries. So in the span of only a few decades, I think Taiwan has really progressed in terms of animal welfare and protection. We have actually really good laws compared to other Asian countries. Yeah, and we actually, in central government, we have now a animal welfare department in central government, which is huge. Right? So just by working with the government for the past few years, I think actually they do know about the problems and they do care. It's just that there's a lot of challenges, that we have to overcome. And another positive thing is I've started to see that a lot of young people care about animals. A lot of our supporters and volunteers, are young people, and that gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Do you have any thoughts regarding today's topic that you would like to share? Send an email to tristan@rti.org.tw. That is at rti.org.tw. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.